Now, your forecast first from the WDHN First Alert Storm Team.
Not much happening down here in the southeast yet, but that will change tomorrow. We're already starting to see severe thunderstorm warnings over in western Texas, and we'll have those in the southeast. We'll give you all the details on what we expect as WDHN News at 10 starts now.
Woman suffering with kidney failure takes a chance, asking the people of the Wiregrass for help, and it all starts with a billboard. I'll have more coming up.
The debate if Jeff Coleman can run for the Alabama Senate is still ongoing. Coming up, I'll give you the latest details.
Shocking video of a traffic stop that almost turned deadly. Some Wiregrass counties topping the charts for something they may not be so proud of. Why Bob Saget's family wants to prohibit the release of any photos or videos related to the investigation into his death. Russia claims it will withdraw forces from the border of Ukraine, but what it did next may indicate otherwise.
Live for the Wiregrass, this is WDHN News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Amanda Arnold. Thank you for joining us. We begin with breaking news tonight. One person is dead, another injured after a crash that shut down a busy Kinsey highway. WDHN's Allison Polk is live now on the scene with the latest. Allison.
Amanda, I'm here live on Highway 431 where a severe wreck has left one fatality according to police dispatch. Right here on Highway 431, very close to where Buds and Blossoms is, a very, very severe crash occurred. One car is completely smashed in from the front and the other is completely smashed in from the back. We don't have too much information right now, but traffic was backed up and police were detouring cars. This wreck is really, really backed up traffic. I'm seeing it's going down pretty far, going down pretty much all the way down towards where the Botanical Gardens is. But right now, we're still waiting for some more information. So if you stay tuned with WDHN, we'll give you more updates as the night goes on.
All right, Allison, thank you. You may have seen a billboard or two recently from a Wiregrass woman using the power of advertising in a last push to save her life. She needs to receive a life-saving organ. And with the incredible story of this woman who is fighting for life, once again, here's WDHN's Allison Polk.
Betty Jo, or more commonly known as Jody Millette, has been fighting the battle of kidney failure for over 6 years now.
You know, because you fight. I have fought so hard every day of my life.
She has seen hundred dialysis treatment over the years that has been saving her life. But just recently, the doctor gave her the news no one wants to hear. She needs a kidney transplant, and she needs it now.
I'm only a candidate for a live donor. So I can't have a deceased donor. They say that if I don't have a donor, you have to be on the list usually 7 to 10 years. Chances are, if the donor didn't come forward, then I wouldn't have that chance.
After hearing the news, Millette's family members stepped up to be that donor, but was unsuccessful in finding a match. That's when she decided to ask a bigger audience for help.
The roads where Ross Clark Circle and West Main Street meet in Dothan is one of the busiest intersections throughout the whole city. Right behind me on that billboard is where Jody Millette took a chance and asked the people of the Wiregrass to help her find the kidney she so desperately needs.
I chose the slogan, have a heart, give a kidney, hoping that somebody would have a heart. I know without a shadow of a doubt that God has my donor already picked out. You know, they just got to know that I'm ready for that kidney.
And that billboard can be seen all over the Wiregrass, including Dothan, Enterprise, and several other locations. Millette's hope is for her story to be heard, her life to be saved, and to see many years to come.
I would love to see, you know, my daughter. I hope one day to see her children, you know, my grandchildren, and be able to travel, be able to do things that I want, you know, like I want to do, but you can't.
If you would like to be that life-saving donor, you can call 205-996 888-888-2048 or visit uabmedicine.org/donate a kidney. You can ask about how you can donate to Betty Jo Millette. Reporting in Dothan, Allison Polk, WDHN News for the Wiregrass.
Large parts of the southeast will be at risk for powerful thunderstorms, possibly tornadoes, as storms sweep in tomorrow. And we could see some storms right here in the Wiregrass. Chief Meteorologist Matthew Wine has been tracking this one for some time, and he joins us now with the latest. Matthew?
Amanda, yes, we definitely expect to see some storms here in our area. Good news is it looks like our severe weather threat is going to be on the low side. Tonight, we're going to be dry. We've got a little bit of rain just to the west of the Mississippi River. That will change shortly, though. We get about 12 hours from where we're at now. We'll already start to see severe weather form right along the Mississippi. Again, the most likely area to see tornadoes and potentially very strong ones is in this orange area. That's the enhanced risk, a level 3 out of 5. And the yellow is a slight risk. That's a 2 out of 5. That goes down to just about Montgomery. We here in the tri-state are in that marginal risk, and that's going to be late in the night on Thursday. Let's talk about that timing again. Those storms start to get their act together likely around noon, and then as they cross into the northwestern portions of Alabama, this is where we expect to see some of those strongest storms and potentially very strong tornadoes. Then this line really starts to form itself as it crosses the state of Alabama. Out ahead of it, maybe some light showers for us right around dinner time, but that's about it. By the time we get this line to actually move in around midnight, it's already starting to weaken and should weaken even further as it crosses the tri-state area. We'll give you more details on the rest of that forecast later on. Amanda?
All right, Matthew, thank you. Tonight, it's looking like the state Republican Party may not certify Dothan businessman Jeff Coleman as a congressional candidate for the 2nd District. WDHN's Alex Valdez explains.
This all stems from a court ruling that Alabama's congressional districts were unfair to racial minorities. That ruling extended the qualifying deadline for candidates. Coleman met that extended deadline but didn't meet the original one. And 3 days before he filed, the Supreme Court ruled it was too late to redraw boundaries. Now, a GOP source tells WDHN that state Republican officials are reluctant to certify Coleman because they feel like honoring the extended deadline would be like admitting the lawsuit against the congressional boundaries had merit, and they interpret the Supreme Court stay as also putting a stay on the extended deadline, which would mean that Coleman did not qualify in time. A source says those state GOP officials would rather the courts be the ones to order him on the ballot, and it could wind up in court. Coleman's representatives have been meeting with state GOP officials, and Republicans expect he will sue if the state GOP keeps him off the ballot. At least one GOP official tells us he thinks Coleman would have a pretty good case if he did sue. Time is ticking for Coleman to qualify. The deadline for candidates to be certified and sent to the Secretary of State is 3 weeks from today, March 1st. Of course, you could trust WDHN to keep you updated with any new developments in the coming days.
Dale County saw 23 deaths in the month of January to start the new year, and each time there is a death, there's a family member or loved one waiting for answers. But recently, it's been difficult to provide the full autopsy or full toxicology reports. Full autopsy reports can take up to 3 to 6 months to get back to county coroners. Toxicology reports can take up to 6 to 9 months. If the case is a homicide, it is moved to the top of the list of reports that need to be completed, but deaths that may be due to natural causes could take longer.
Here lately, all of mine have been signed pending from the medical examiner because they just don't have the time to get everything done in 2 or 3 days.
If human remains are found in the Wiregrass, they're sent to the forensic lab in Montgomery, and toxicology reports are examined out of the office in Hoover. Traffic came to a standstill on the northern part of Dothan's Ross Clark Circle near Twitchell Road earlier today. Around 11 this morning, a sedan and a Nissan collided into each other at the intersection. Reports indicating the collision was possibly a T-bone. When WDHN arrived on the scene, a man was lying in nearby grass after the impact until paramedics loaded him into an ambulance. He and another person were taken to the hospital for a medical check. Their injuries are not life-threatening. In 2 collisions less than 12 hours apart, Florida's higher-speed passenger trains killed 1 person and seriously injured another in accidents Tuesday night and this morning. These are the latest in a spate of serious and fatal collisions plaguing the Bright Line trains since the railroad resumed operations in November. Police say a pedestrian was killed after walking in front of a train Tuesday night. That was the 57th death involving the railroad since its launch 5 years ago. Colorado police putting out a warning tonight. The state's been having problems with people moving over to the left-hand shoulder as against the right-hand shoulder. Dash cam video caught this crash, and troopers say, look at that, it could have been so much worse. Fortunately, nobody was seriously hurt. The partial shutdown of Denton Road here in Dothan got underway this morning, extending from the Ross Clark Circle to Westgate Parkway as crews continue working to complete a 2-year project. The partial closure will wrap up tomorrow. Meantime, one lane at a time is shut down and drivers are being led by a pilot car through the work. The goal is to create 5 lanes on Denton Road for travelers headed from Westgate to the Circle. Another traffic alert, the right turn lane from West Main to the Circle will be partially closed through the night for utility adjustments. Drivers will still be able to turn right onto the Circle, but that turn lane will be shorter, so drivers are asked to be extra careful there. Some Wiregrass counties topping the charts for something they may not be so proud of, the level of education. The state of Alabama ranks 45th in the nation when it comes to education, and 3 of Alabama's worst educated counties are right here at home: Dale, Geneva, and Henry. This according to the latest American Community Survey conveyed by the U.S. Census Bureau. Henry County is ranked 40th in the state, the data showing 20% of those in the 25-year-old and older group have less than a high school diploma. 32% of that group are high school graduates. Only 17% have a bachelor's degree or higher. But Henry County School Superintendent Laurie Beasley believes those numbers are skewed due to the low return rate from the last census. Headland Middle School has received a $200,000 grant through the state's Career Tech program. This money can be spent only on subjects such as math and science by giving students hands-on experience. Each teacher will get to purchase STEM kits, including microscopes and 3D printers, plus each grade level will get to go on a field trip, and a science lab will be built for students.
Well, the reason I decided to become a science teacher is because I had these experiences, or the reason I decided to become a mechanical engineer is because we took this field trip and I was able to see how I could apply the things I'm learning. I think that it's definitely going to have a long-lasting impact, and we're so blessed.
Henry County administrators are excited about that grant. Plans for exactly how those funds will be used must be set in stone by September. Why Bob Saget's family doesn't want any photos or videos related to the investigation into his death released to the public. That story coming up, and Russia claims it will withdraw forces from the border of Ukraine, but its actions may indicate otherwise. Details after the break.
Fatality, and another person was life. Does that sound better? Does that sound better?
You're watching WDHN with Amanda Arnold and meteorologist Matthew Wine.
We now have an update on the breaking news we brought you earlier at the top of our newscast. We go now back live to Allison Polk with the latest. Allison.
Hey Amanda, we've got a couple more information for you guys on the fatal crash. As of right now, police have confirmed that there has been one fatality and another person was actually life-flighted from the scene with critical injuries. As of right now, police are scanning the scene for any more information, so stay tuned with WDHN for any more updates on this fatal crash. But for now, that's all I got, so I'm going to send it back to you guys.
All right, Allison, thank you so much. A judge in Florida granted Bob Saget's family a temporary injunction today, blocking the public release of any graphic images or video linked to investigations into his death. Saget's widow, Kelly Rizzo, and his 3 daughters filed a lawsuit saying that the release of certain records would lead to immediate and widespread dissemination to the internet, as well as print and television media outlets, causing the family irreparable harm in the form of mental pain, anguish, and emotional distress. The sheriff's office saying while it is sensitive to the family's concerns about their right to privacy, that must be balanced with a commitment to transparency, as well as compliance with the law and the public's right to know. Fans are questioning how a fall led to the comedian and actor's death in an Orlando hotel room in January. The judge's temporary injunction is in force until a final decision is made in court. Russia has added as many as 7,000 troops near the Ukraine border in recent days, contrary to claims by Russian President Vladimir Putin that troops would be pulled back from the region. This, according to a senior Biden administration official not authorized to speak publicly about sensitive operations and who spoke on condition of anonymity. According to Western estimates, Russia has amassed about 150,000 troops east, north, and south of Ukraine, even as Moscow denies it has any plans to invade, and this week announced a pullback of some forces and weapons. While details are scarce, the Russian statements have lowered the political temperature following weeks of escalating tensions. One of the casualties of war can be mental health issues leading to suicide. And to help veterans in the Wiregrass, the city of Dothan hosted a town hall today, the first meeting of its kind in the state. In 2020, veteran suicides made up 25% of all suicides here in the Wiregrass, and this is why interested groups are working hard to end the stigma surrounding mental health and suicide. Experts say the first help in preventing a veteran's suicide is knowing the signs, and these include anger, anxiety, increased alcohol or substance use, and the feelings of having no reason to live. All things to look out for, which is the goal behind Alabama's Challenge Town Hall to help veterans.
I love my country, and I'd do the same thing, and I know these veterans here would do the same thing if they had another opportunity to do it. They're just a little banged up right now.
If you are a veteran or know someone who has served our country and is struggling with mental health, experts say the best thing you can do is to simply ask, "Are you okay?" and then talk about the problems they're having. Matthew?
Well, it's been a long time since we've had significant rainfall in our area. We're going to pick up some rain tomorrow. I'll tell you more details next.
This weather segment is sponsored by Physicians Hearing Center. Now, your first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Matthew Wine.
We had a really nice and warm day here in the Wiregrass today. We're going to have another nice one tomorrow, and then those showers and storms start to move in later on. Remember this time yesterday, I said it doesn't look like much now, but about 24 to 36 hours from now, we're going to start seeing some activity across the U.S., and that's exactly what we have. A long system stretching from the Great Lakes all the way down into western portions of Texas, even up into the Rockies where they're getting some snow there in Colorado. And we've got some cold air on the backside of this thing, that's for sure. That cold front, again, stretching from the Great Lakes all the way down to Texas. 48 in Amarillo, 20 up in Denver, 0 already in Fargo. But out ahead of it, we still have plenty of 60s across the south central and southeast U.S. And 60s still being felt here in the Wiregrass. Troy at 60 degrees, 61 in Florala, 60 in Defuniak Springs, 57 here in Dothan. But we're not going to drop much further than this. In all reality, dew points are on the way up tonight and tomorrow, and that's going to keep our temperatures warm at night, especially tonight. Again, those winds have been out of the south and southeast today. They've calmed down a little bit. They were a bit gusty earlier on, and they're going to be quite gusty as we go through the day tomorrow. Satellite and radar all quiet right now. We've got some clouds around the region, not many, but we'll see more of those tomorrow. And of course, the radar, those scans are going to start picking up on some rain. So as we go through the day on Thursday, we'll start off fairly warm, upper 50s, right around 60 degrees during the morning commute. Things will be dry. We'll have some broken cloud cover that increases as we go through the day, and so will our temperatures, where most of us should easily make it into the middle 70s, some even into the upper 70s near 80. Then those showers start to come into the picture late in the evening. 7 o'clock is about the earliest that the western portions of our viewing area will start to see that rain. So around dinner time, showers will start moving in. Then we're going to get more of that activity as we go later into the evening. The actual cold front with those showers and storms starts making its way into our viewing area around midnight. So what's out ahead of it would be lighter rain and not really the gusty conditions along with these storms. I think that our highest wind gusts are going to be with that main line itself overnight after midnight and then into the early pre-dawn hours on Friday morning. Could see some wind gusts of around 40 to 50 miles per hour, but I don't expect much more than that. Tornado activity, I think, is going to be 0 for us here in the tri-state. Behind that main line, we do expect to see some lingering showers and cooler temperatures early Friday morning, but the later we go in the day, the clearer we will be, and we should warm back up into the upper 50s, right around 60 degrees. Those rain chances over the next couple of days at 20% during the day while people are out and about, but overnight, Thursday into Friday, is our best chance for rain. Then we have a nice dry weekend. Maybe bring back some more showers for the beginning of next week. That's why we want you to have that WDHN weather app so you can get those alerts wherever you are. And of course, you get to follow along on interactive weather radar right there at your fingertips. Watch those storms roll through, cool down for the weekend, but warm up significantly next week.
One Wiregrass basketball team is preparing for regionals for the second year in a row. I'll tell you how the squad plans to have success in Montgomery. Hey, what's up, sports fans?
This sports segment is sponsored by Ingram Realty in Headland. Now, Wiregrass Sports, right here on WDHN.
What's up, sports fans? Regional play is officially here for Wiregrass basketball teams, some making their first appearance in years, others returning as they do consistently. The Houston Academy boys basketball team will make its second consecutive Sweet 16 appearance on Thursday. They head into the matchup with a 20-9 record and feeling confident.
I could have told you at the beginning of the year we'd be able to get back here.
Tuesday night, HA took down New Brockton in a sub-regional matchup. With that win, the Raiders go undefeated at home for the season and punch their ticket to the Sweet 16. But they don't plan on stopping there.
We can definitely go all the way if we stay focused and work on what we've worked on and practice for the whole season.
The Raiders dominated area play all season long, going 8-1 in regular season play and winning the area crown for the second straight year. So what's the key to success for this team?
They just have a real strong camaraderie, and we did last year too, but this team is even more different. They have a resiliency and they really enjoy playing. I don't even think they like taking days off.
Last season, the Raiders lost in the Sweet 16, but Coach Witt hopes the depth and work ethic of this year's squad will take them further. Players think it will.
We're laser focused all the time. We always come in 100% at practice, ready to work, and I feel like our focus will get us there.
We gotta stay focused in practice, and we can't get off a task.
Keep bonding together as a team, and I think our shots are falling right now. I think everybody's playing at their maximum.
The Raiders head to Montgomery to take on Montgomery Academy in regional play on Thursday. That's all for sports this evening. Keep it right here.
Tomorrow will be mainly dry, but then we bring those showers and storms in overnight. Of course, some of them could be a little on the strong side, but not much more than that. Much calmer weekend with low and rain chances next week and very high temperatures.
All right, Matthew, thank you. We end our newscast now with how we started. We're continuing to follow this breaking news that we brought you earlier. One person is dead, one is life-flighted due to a car crash. Stay with WDHN as more information becomes available. We thank you for joining us. Have a safe evening. We will see you tomorrow. Thank you.